Hello and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to this episode of Inspiring Conversations. Sorry that we couldn't be together last week. That was unforeseeable events that took place. But a reminder of why I'm doing this. So, inspiring conversation, it's all about creating conversations that really matter. We are diving into ways to connect deeply, break down barriers, and build moments that inspire trust and growth, whether it's with your team at work or in your everyday chats. We will bring more positivity, realness, and impact into every conversation. So, if you take this much from the conversations that we have, then I am happy. And now the guest today is far, far away from Iceland. He is literally in Seattle, Washington, isn't it? The state of Washington.
Yeah, state of Washington. Yep.
Oh, I have to be careful now. It
It's
takes
okay.
me it takes me 8 hours to fly to Seattle. So there you have it.
And we get to sit here like this. Like
Yes,
it's nothing.
we can almost touch each other. No. So, Mr. Paul Haury, welcome. We
It's good.
have So this is not the first, and this is not definitely not the last conversation that we are going to have because we are going to talk about belonging, and this will be fun because last time we spoke, I laughed a lot, you laughed a lot. So, but for the others who don't know you as well as me, who is Paul Howry and why does he have two dogs, for example?
Oh, why does he have two dogs?
Mhm.
Well, okay. So, by the way, hi everybody. I'm Paul. Um, I am a belonging dork. I love all things belonging because I believe that every single one of us, in order for us to be in our best, most healthiest space and to be in our highest level of abilities to do really amazing things, you just got to belong. And it's a lot of it has to do with neurobiology, which now I'm going to go to why we have two dogs. So we have this thing called labs on the Half Life. Hey, Aishwarya. Um, so we have labs on the Half
Then,
Life.
then you can
So,
also say hello to Pushkin, David Pushkin.
oh, hey, David. Uh, there he is. Um, so we got our first lab, and then we said when he gets to his half life, we'll get our second one. And reason being is then the age differential won't be that if we get a puppy and it's an older dog, then we're kind of like jerks because we brought a puppy to this old dog. So the dogs when in the half life, the older one is young still enough to train the puppy. So we get to do less training because the older dog trains the younger. And then on the important side of things, when the older dog goes to dog heaven, we have now a younger dog at half life that helps our hearts stay in a good place. So, like I always say, Gracie, and that's a picture of Gracie there in the back, and
Beautiful Gracie. Yeah.
that's on a beach up here. Uh, and so Gracie basically saved our hearts. And one of the things has to do with is for belonging. If we talk about belonging here, our belonging is always what we have to have. At the same time, it's all temporary. Not to be morose or anything, but we're all going to die, which means our belonging is going to stop, especially in relation to somebody else. Well, the same thing happens with our dogs. Our dogs belong, they have personalities. The dog neurobiology and their emotional centers almost map one to one for a human brain, likewise. So, all this is to say, we have two dogs because we know that it creates belonging for the dogs and creates also a staggered set of belonging for us as Eliza and Paul, the two humans that hang out with the two dogs.
Oh, dog people, you're so weird. Did you know that?
Yes.
And
Hey, watch.
your first dog.
Just because you said that. Hey, look, it's a dog on my cell
Oh,
phone. That's Jones.
yeah. Let's
See
go
that?
into that.
I just want you to know, for a split second, you turned into a dog person because I saw it on your face. You went, oh, that's what you just did.
You are horrible.
That's what you just did.
So, but the naming of the dog. Your first dog was named George, and then
Yep.
you got Gracie, and then
Yep.
you got Jones.
Yes.
Gracie Jones.
So yeah. So okay. So we do it. We do our dog names in pairing. So George and Gracie is George Burns and Grace Allen, which is an old vaudeville and / radio show TV couple. And then so then we're like, well, George, just sec here. Did that plan dog training dog? Yes, it did. Very much, Rab. Very much. It worked amazing.
Mhm.
But so when and then when George died, we chose Jones, so we could have Grace Jones.
Yes. Could it be that you are a fan of Grace Jones, or?
Grace Jones is kind of cool. She's well, as her brand was, as she was fierce. And now our dogs really aren't fierce; they're labs.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was also. I'm talking about a trailblazer in modeling. It was definitely almost all white before her.
Okay.
And but when Grace Jones went into modeling, here's this powerful black woman as a model.
Oh, she was gorgeous.
Oh yes. Oh, are you? Wait, did you not know who Grace Jones was?
Of course I did. What do you think?
I'm just
I
checking.
don't. Mr. Haury, I don't live in an igloo. Although I come from Iceland, you know like we get news, and I saw the James Bond movie, and I drooled over Miss Jones.
All right.
Like,
Okay.
too much information.
What do you think, Rab? Too much information?
So, but he wants just to take, yes, that could also
Oh,
be. Could be.
actually, the funny thing is, Rab, it does, because the basis that I use for dog training follows the similar neurobiology of patterns and embedding patterns in the brains as for humans. It follows literally almost like one for one.
Pew. It's too much dog
You
analogy.
wait. Who brought it up?
Sorry.
Who brought it up?
Yeah.
I think it was you.
Sometimes, yeah, the connection between brain and mouth sometimes is like unplugged. So I need to think about that again. So,
Yeah.
Paul, let's dive into the subject in hand, and that
Okay.
is belonging. And now probably Rap has answered. No, it's ooh.
What do you write?
Aishwarya says kids to have the same skills to follow other kids in many dimensions. That is absolutely true. We learn from another kids, and that is why we need to have them in surroundings where there are other kids, good or bad, but mostly good.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So our topic today is like how workplaces and why the regular, like the basic, how was the basic, I will find it here in my notes, the basic definition of belonging is the deep human experience of being accepted, valued, and connected to a group, place, or purpose. It is the feeling of being seen, heard, and appreciated as an integral part of a community, workplace, or relationship. And then it goes on with like belonging is more than just an inclusion. It implies a sense of security, trust, and an emotional connection. It emerges when individuals feel they can be their authentic selves without fear of rejection or exclusion. You, on the other hand, Mr. Haury, you have a different approach to belonging.
I
Yes.
I do use a different functional definition.
Yes.
And I want to pare down that giant thing that you just gave to us into the
Yes.
four things, the four components that exist in that. And I got a little slide that actually probably represents that quite well.
Should I open the slides maybe
Why not?
like
Let's
this
go
one?
to it. There it is.
So
So,
did you just take control of my slides? Or did
uh,
it just jump off?
no, I'm using a.
Aha.
Oh no, you're controlling it. Did you just do that?
I don't know. I didn't do it.
Oh,
Okay.
then I
But
did.
Is this the right one?
That is the right one.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
bear with us,
sense
you guys.
of belonging. Sense of belonging.
So this is what you put in long form
Yeah.
is the Cornell University APA. I could have written APA on that also, which is American Psychological Association. The standard definition, which is when you get acceptance, inclusion, identity, and authenticity, you belong. That's like I say, that's the real short form of it. And I'll ask the audience right now. And by the way, for some reason, the audience stuff keeps dropping off on mine, and I don't know why. But I'm just going to leave it like this then. But you can have all four of those things and not belong. Very much so. You can be your authentic self.
Well,
you can be an employee in a company. All this stuff works out that way. And in general, you can be accepted. I mean, you're still there. You're still working at your company. So you can have all these things, but you can be there and go, yeah, I don't belong. Now, I'm going to throw down that there's two parts to that. And this is why one of the reasons why I don't use this, but the one I'll show because in the graphic here is if you have to get those things, and that's the definition of your belonging. And if you don't get those things, then the agency of that belonging is all outside of you. You are basically in a conforming place of you have to fit in, which technically isn't belonging. And like Brene Brown will talk about that aspect also, which is, fitting in is the opposite. And I would say functionally what is going on is we're self-marginalizing so that we will fit in. And so what that means is there's really no agency. And this is why when I define belonging, I don't ask somebody if they get those four things. I ask them, let's see if it's me doing this. Oh, it is me doing it. Hey, I just changed it. So it's working on my side. It's actually
Thank
working.
you. I'm sweating. So I will not do the wave.
Hey, it actually worked. This is kind of fun now. All right.
This is brilliant. But Rab Bassi says, is that about value? Are you valued?
Okay, so
like, does that come?
Yes, but I'll put it in this frame, Rob. This the graphic that's up here. Sorry, I called you Rob. Sorry, Rob. Rab. My mistake.
Rab.
Actually, is it Rob or Rab? Now I'm wondering.
Rab.
Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Can we keep hidden in a box? Sorry. Can we keep hidden in a box? I don't think so. That's not going to happen.
Why did I let you to?
Well,
oh my God,
that's too bad. So,
oh yeah.
Where I will define belonging is this: I'll ask somebody first, not whether they're getting those four things. Those are all aspects of affirmation, and they really are. Like hidden. I love that black bow tie you have on your neck right there. That looks pretty awesome.
Yes.
And so if I say I like Hidden's black bow tie, does that mean he belongs? It could be an item for membership in the tribe and whatever else, but that's an affirmation state, which is different in the brain than belonging. And so I use this definition. I'll ask somebody first. Do you feel, own, and care for somebody in their successes, dreams, and failures? That's one part of it. And do they feel, own, and care for you in your successes, dreams, and failures? And it's a bidirectional 3x3. When that is in place, you are in belonging. If it's one side, then it could be codependency. If they feel, own, and care for you, and you don't for them, then you're like, ugh, why am I even here? If you feel, own, and care for them, and they don't for you, you're probably moving into, I'm just going to fit in and be codependent, unless you're like a gift. You're gifting or being charitable at a certain aspect. But these two things have to go back and forth so that we are actually in a state where we're bidirectionally in a relationship. And there will be ebb and flow. But in that, and this is why the right side of the 3x3 is there, it's successes, dreams, and failures. And so it's not about just in the good times. It's not about just in the present, because it means that I'm looking out for you because you're part of my future together. And in failures, because let's just face it, we are human beings, and that is that. If we can't be in that space, we're toast. Our brain shifts into just fight, flight, and we're a little screwed. Feel, own, care, if we need to be more in the psych-social terms, that's empathy, accountability for, and compassion for. And so this 3x3 is a checksum that everybody goes through in their actual belonging. And that means you get the feels, you give the feels, you get the feels. You give the ownership, you take accountability for someone. They're yours. Their pain, their issues, their suffering, their dreams, their successes, they're yours also. And so what ends up happening is a very, very highly driven shift for us. And for if we want to get a quick thing for people that are listening, this is a fun thing to do. Now, we're going to use dogs and children in this case. Just because some of us out here don't have children, we have dogs.
Yes.
Thank you. I swear. There's two schools of psychology, by the way. The Cornell University and APA, that the sense of belonging model, which is this one. This model is part of the APA, which turns out also that this one is too. It's just a much smaller segment of the scholastic world. In this space, what we're going to do is we're going to have you get a sense, or I should say, and I'm not going to use a sense, because I'll ask, hey, Hedden, and you get to be the voice because we don't have other people hanging out in the Zoom.
Yeah.
Would you work for a sense of a paycheck?
No.
Okay. Then
I would actually want the paycheck.
You're right, exactly. So back to this. Why would you settle for a sense of belonging?
Yeah.
And when the brain is actually looking for this, for real, it wants a real paycheck of belonging. It does not want, maybe, because unclear equals fear. Period. If our belonging is unresolved, our brain says, oh, I got to get belonging secured and back in place. And this is not to say it's a fear response. It is a belonging response. It's like a belonging imperative. And so now we're gonna play a little. Are you fine saying one of your kids' names?
Yes.
Well, I'm
they
just
are
asking.
on social media. So, yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, okay.
You gotta make a face.
Do you want me to say that? Do you want me to say that?
Okay. What? Give me one of your kids' names.
Freya Ósk.
Oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to say it. Damn it.
Freya. It's from Nordic mythology. Freya.
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 Okay,
like yeah.
I'm sorry for butchering the name. I'm gonna hear it later from Hidden. Just want you to know this. So
And I have it on record, notably.
yeah, I know. It's on video, right? Um, um, and God, I can't believe what's your wife's name again? I'm sorry,
Sika,
Sika.
Sika,
So, Sika, you're
Sika,
Sika. Sinka. Oh, do you see what he does to me, you
Sika.
guys? Okay, Sinka. Okay, so here you are. We're about to get into this LinkedIn Live podcast, how we want to call it. We're doing so. We're getting ready. Sinka, she sends you a text. Hey, I'm on my way to the hospital. Freya is there, and I don't have any more information, but I'll get back to you as soon as I know. How well can you work?
Not well, because I would be worried sick about
Right.
what is happening.
Okay, so what's exactly? Nobody can. Well, unless you're a sociopath or a psychopath, then
Well,
maybe
yeah.
that's the case. Um, but the component what just happened is what we just audience what we just did to Hidden is we got him to land visually and imagining wise in a space where his belonging was at super high risk and unclear if it was going to be okay. And because of that, what happens even in just us sitting here is his brain pushes everything out of what was in focus and says, my belonging is at risk. And that is what we're talking about when we're talking about tapping into that. And if we're going to go into our original discussion about in like engagement and so on, what happens, and engagement, trying to do and push engagement without tapping into belonging means engagement will always get nudged aside every time belonging is at risk. And so here are the situations that belonging gets at risk all the time in our workplaces, which is one, self-belonging, because we all have self-belonging, but I didn't bring a slide for that on this one, but there's self-belonging and belonging with others. And it's a yin and yang.
Yeah.
It's a paradox. You cannot belong with others unless you belong with yourself. And guess what? You can't belong with yourself unless you belong with others. It's what ends up happening is if you try to belong with others without yourself, you literally go into codependency and you start losing yourself and self-marginalizing. You might as well be in the sense of belonging model. Now, what also, though, you could have a self-belonging, which is tied to others, aka I'm at work, a set of mirrored, oh, is it backwards? Oh, it is
It's
backwards.
because it's
Oh,
mirrored.
no, that's
Remember?
right. Oh, that's
So
right.
it's belong plus believe.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, that's funny. I just saw it there. Now, but so what ended up that was awesome. So, but in the self-belonging aspect of it, what ends up coming into play is I'm at work. I don't belong. In other words, I don't have anybody in feel own care for me. I just have feel own care for them. And in that space, every time there's a focus and there's something to create engagement, I will land in, either they don't feel own care for me. Why am I here? That will get triggered and that will get put into play. Now, that'll then have extended a stacking problem because now I don't belong, which means I can't take care of my family because of my workplace and job. And so now I got stacked belonging that's actually taking me away from my ability to be in high focus.
But
Now
Paul,
there are,
when you say, like, because you were talking about if you don't feel on care for yourself.
Yep.
Because I'm thinking about people who don't feel they belong anywhere.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
is it because they are in this mode of, like, they don't see themselves as successful, or they having dreams, or
Oh,
like how do you
any
take on
number of
that?
space, number of spaces there that can.
Yeah.
By the way, we're gonna dive into that sidebar just because Hidden took us that way, and I think
Yeah.
it's valid. So we all have an inner voice that comes from our self-talk, where we have this narrative, and we'll say it over and over and over again. Michael Gervais has a really cool book with Pete Carroll, um, uh, Compete to Create. That's it. Which talks about some of the self-talk stuff. Ethan Kross has a really good book, Chatter, that talks about that too. But from a belonging and self-belonging standpoint, if we can't feel, own, and care for ourselves in our successes, dreams, and failures, now we're just going to be in just a critical voice, not a sustaining voice, not a voice that we're in a voice that's not feeling, owning, and caring for us. And this is where, when I talk about self-belonging, it's the application of this belonging 3x3 to oneself. Well, part of that, and you're going to have people say this, it's all for the individual. You got to do it for yourself and all this kind of stuff. What if you don't have that? I mean, I'll raise my hand. I've been in that state where, fuck, I'm roughed up. But that's a good question. It's a that's a tough question, but I'm going to get to that one. I'm going to finish with this
I
one.
will remember it. I have it in my notes.
Yeah, you have it in your stuff. Okay. I think I'm in trouble. But the ability to draw upon that is part internal, and it is also part external. So, for example, there are times where my gas tank might be empty, and maybe I'll even be second guessing the crap out of myself in terms of whether or not I even know anything about belonging in actuality. Maybe my self-talk is just like going, yeah, Paul, you don't know what you're talking about. The rest of the world is right. You're wrong. You name it. Which is funny because in the book Compete to Create, Michael Gervais talks about a moment where he went through this down spiral and had to pull himself back up, meditation, getting back into the is it true aspect of the facts. And so, but I'll be going, oh, and all of a sudden, Hidden might call me and go, "Hey, you're the person I think of when I need to think about belonging." I don't know if you say that or not, but if that's the case, we have a friendship. We have extended feel, own, care, the 3x3 back and forth with each other. By the way, belonging, really simple. We can fall in love in an instant, first sight. Belonging takes time for us to build and to choose, because it's a choice. I choose to FOC belong, fucking belong for Vicky. That if you are out there,
Oh, she is. She is.
fucking belong. It's a choice, but in the same thing, it's also a choice for ourselves. So, for example, if I find myself in that place and it's rough and whatever else, I'll start drawing upon the voices in my inner itty bitty. It's from our earlier talk, the inner itty bitty
Yes.
shitty committee and the inner itty bitty
Yeah.
gritty committee. And so my gritty committee are these voices, and they're not the voices that give me those four other things. They're not just this stuff, because you can have a voice that's challenge you on, of course, four things, but because they feel, own, and care for you, they're not going to give you that, oh, you know, you're fine to be your authentic self. What if your authentic self is a jerk? Then you're not going to get it. So what ends up happening is you're called back into being into the ways that the good pairing of the friendship works, the belonging of the friendship. And so in that, I get to choose, though, of that my own voices and draw upon my It could be Eliza. It could be Andrew. It could be David. It could be you. Am I in trouble on that one?
Ooh, I
Yeah.
think so.
But drawing upon that means we have to have both of these spaces. Because without others, we literally start going crazy. 15 days in solitary confinement without being belonging, without having actual genuine human connection. We have areas of our brain that shrink and end up with permanent damage. And this is why solitary confinement longer than 15 days is considered illegal punishment by the UN. Same though, if I don't have it for myself at all, I start marginalizing myself and losing myself. And at that point, now I've lost me. And so it's a blend of both. It ebbs and flows. Sometimes we got it, sometimes we don't. When we don't, we belong with each other. So we always have a constant source to refill the tank. Now, I'm going to tie that back into, because the original topic that we had of this was to talk about actual engagement, and then the myth of you can have all this engagement without belonging. And that's the part that I do believe gets missed, because everything we have in our life really centers around the belonging with ourself, with the belonging with others that we have. And the second we lose that, we're toast. We start making really bad choices. That's where I would go there. Now, there was that question you had earlier. I kind of want to get to that because somebody brought it up.
Is it this one?
Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so it's a both. But here's why. And by the way, feel, own, care, successes, dreams, failures, that 3x3, that's a construct.
Mm-hmm.
However, it does happen to be a constant. So it's more of an observable constant than just a kind of a made up model. But it's as close again, and it may get modified and refined, or at some point, because I'll probably be like, God, I've been doing all this stuff and it's all debunked. What the hell? Then I'll have to cross that bridge if I get to that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like a good scientist.
Yeah, there you go. Actually, and this is anthropology, sociology, psychology, and neuroscience. That's what actually is this cobble of that graphic. But we've all been in a state where somebody comes up to us and they give us this flat affect neutral, but then they say, "Oh, you're my friend." So we do a checksum in this 3x3. Feel, own, care. If anyone is missing on the left, if we want to bring it back up,
yeah,
just visually it'll make more sense.
Yeah.
So the feel, own, care are exhibited emotionally and in the common values that the two would share in their relationship together. It would also involve hey, belong and believe. Hey, shift up, Eben. This is for you, man. Although it's backwards. Sorry. Believe in the purpose. So, like, we have a friendship, and we believe in a purpose to help each other and show up for each other, which is why we're sitting here together.
Yeah.
To help each other grow, maybe in our companies, enjoy life together. That we share this. That's our sharing and belief, which is backwards. But that 3x3 is there. If any of those are missing, our brain goes, something's wrong. We don't belong. Belonging is at risk. Belonging is breaking. It needs to be fixed. Something's going to happen if any of those three are missing. So we all have their friends. Oh, hugs, warm feels. They even say, "This is my friend," and then they'll never show up. They're not showing up in the care, which is the action, taking compassionate action for the person. They won't show up. It's like, Hidden. I didn't feel like showing up today for the show. I wanted to sleep in, get an extra hours of sleep, blah, blah, blah. You understand, right? Wrong. That would be a wrong. Same thing on the other side of the 3x3. If we are in a situation and our successes are not recognized, and this is commonly said, talking about you're giving praise and giving, saying good things. Oh, you're doing a great job, an attaboy at work or atta-girl at work, that kind of stuff. Our brain does require that the successes are accepted and recognized. It's neurobiology. Dreams, real simple thing, and I love John Medina's work for Brain Rules. We dream. If we don't share dreams, we're dreaming in different directions. It's that simple, and we're going to start drifting apart. So if we tie our dreams together, and this is about why sharing in a company's purpose together has so much importance, because it becomes now a share, but it can't be shared unless you're in belonging, because otherwise it's parallel. And the truth is, if we're in a race to get across the same finish line and you bump me and I bump you, we cross the finish line and we're in a fist fight. That's kind of how it works. And the last thing is failures. If we're only accepted and in part of the tribe in successes, we know every instance of our life is transactional, and that's it. Now I'll go over personal perception. The personal perception lies in this aspect of we have a common set of shared values. We have a common shared purpose together. That is the personal perception of the space. And now the construct as being is if the tribe makes an identity and values, and I won't bring that up because that's a whole nother quote. In that construct, it's all a fiction. Everything we do where we chose to join together is kind of a fiction. Like, I know as much as I do with you by me picking up, grabbing those signals, head nods, voices, laughter, reach out, calls, you name it. That's actually my story where you become part of my inner voices. And if you are in feel own care of my inner voices, and absolutely reciprocity is unbelievably important in this. That's why the arrows pulse. But so in that standpoint, I am creating a story on the fly while I'm with you, just like you are with me. So we have two fictions that we're choosing to bring together, because in truth, I can't know really anything and everything that's going on with you, because you have so much stuff going on. Your brain is going. Mine may be less. I've had a few concussions, but at 11 million bits per second, we are processing at this incredible rate, pulling in all these signals just to relate. I mean, it's the coolest thing. And so being in belonging, and I have faith in my belonging with you. I have faith in you. And that means I have to choose that based upon the signals that I'm taking in that's altering my own personal story. One of what is this bringing in of light and sound and stuff that comes into my brain called Hierin. Yes.
You have to go there.
This is perfect.
David is talking about he wants to go to the epidemic of loneliness versus belonging. But one thing before you talk about that.
Okay. Well, there we go.
Like when we are talking, because this question, is it a personal perception or the social construct of imposed by groups? What is it that does, for example, with teenagers when they want to belong and their minds goes to, I have to have diesel trousers, I have to have Carhartt sweatshirts and whatever, and then for us grown-ups, then we talk like, is it unconditional, or
Well,
do we have to
okay.
adapt
Okay. So
to
I
the
love this.
shared values?
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
No. I love it.
Sorry.
No. Yeah. No. Okay. So the movement of a
I'm the host. No?
you're the host. You can
Yeah.
tell me what to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
So
I'm such an idiot.
when a
Yeah. Well.
child becomes an adolescent, they're going from conquering and from
Yeah.
operational to formal operational or adult brain. What's happening is a hockey stick of neural capability. And this is why, by the way, I used to be a high school teacher, and I used to work with pre-adolescent to from children to pre-adolescents. Also, I was a child development counselor for years. So there's a funny thing that happens. There's Yedin said this, that defines right and wrong. Child goes, mom and dad, they give me truth.
Yeah.
In formation of belonging, and this I'm gonna separate this from attachment theory a bit. Attachment theory is whether or not you can form attachments. Belonging is the state of actually getting into that bidirectional relationship and how it creates your belonging, because belonging is a personal space of your values and of yourself and everything else, along with the other side. Okay, so your teenage child has gone into formal operational without a lot of context. So we're older, we've got through this stuff, we've in some part to our lessoning, because now we've got it all figured out and blah blah blah, when we might not. But the adolescent is now forming a self-belonging identity. I am not just a child of Hieden. I am me. And that I am me starts pretty early. I mean, you'll have differences in siblings. It's amazing. But and now it's becoming into the formal adult space. And it's thinking, and it's literally going, and I'd love to, I have to find the data on this. Child thought in the ability to do self-talk, because there are less words and less cognates, and the brain hasn't made a shift. As soon as it hits the adolescent or formal operational, your brain moves into 4,000 words a minute internal talk. So how we're talking right now, and if Andrew's still on the line, I've actually tried to slow down for this one, Andrew. As we talk back and forth, we're at 40 words per minute. This gives you an idea of the speed differential. So an adolescent in self-talk is at 4,000 without all the experience, without all the self-defining, because the self-defining is happening from an adulting standpoint. And so you would say, you don't need a expensive Carhartt like everybody else to be you, because you already figured that out. They're figuring that out. And because now they think at 4,000 words, they talk as they think at 4,000 words. They have 19 answers for your one in a split second, and they're ready to drop all 19 of them on you to tell you why you're wrong.
Where have you been all my life? How is this part? Like, what? And you know, like when you when you as a child or an adolescent, when you realize that your parents, like the pedestal they are on, they are always right, and they are they are Captain America or Superman or whatever, and then all of a sudden you realize they are nothing but a
Person.
sweet old people. Yes, sweet old people who believe that they are saying the right stuff. But now we have to, because we have to be time-wise, and I know that we are talking about we talked about prior to this on different posts that we were going to address the epidemic of loneliness versus belonging. How COVID, for example, because you were talking about when you're alone, when you're confined in solitude, like how
Okay.
it affects your brain. So take it away,
Okay.
David Pushkin. This is for you.
All right, David. So we keep talking about and by the way, some of the best work on this is through Vivek Murthy, now going to be the former Surgeon General.
Okay.
And loneliness causes, like, this is some of the primary things. It's loneliness epidemic, and the impacts are unreal for what happens to us, because our brains are wired, and boy, I don't know if we're, oh God, we're gonna run out of time. Damn it.
Yeah, I know.
So um, when we're not in belonging, we don't have a constant source of oxytocin and serotonin. In belonging, we do. And we're actually designed to have this neurochemical cocktail in place. I call it Team OS. I have a couple slides later where I'll talk about it. But what it does for us is it's a nominal state by which we can be in our optimal, whatever we're dealing with, to be in a more optimal way. Okay, because it's just the way it works. And we'll get to it. When we don't have it, we're an injured, if we talk about sports as a metaphor, we are an injured athlete. Do you expect an injured athlete to play at their best?
No. Well,
No.
he
Can they
can't.
stay? Can they stay in the game? No. You have to pull an injured athlete out of the game because it's hurting the game. It's hurting themselves more and everything else. So my argument relative to the loneliness epidemic and its impacts, and the impacts are just, they're nuts. If we
Is
look,
this those numbers? 29% heart to be.
yeah,
29% are having like heart disease. 32% are having strokes, and
and
then
this is attributed directly to loneliness. Yeah. So now, why this? And this is where I used a slightly different set of language. It's not loneliness. It's in the state of being unbelonged. And that's where we go, I don't belong, our self-talk. And back to the definition of belonging. If I make it all just receive mode, I have to get it from somebody, I am powerless. I am absolutely powerless if that's how I define belonging. This is why if I were to ask you, do you belong with somebody? I wouldn't say, do you get those 4 things from somebody? I would ask you, I forgot your wife's name again. I'm so bad.
Sika.
Sika. Punch me in the face.
I can't. You're so funny.
Too far away. Do you feel, own, and care for Sika in her successes, dreams, and failures?
Yes.
Okay. Does she do the same for you?
Yes.
Then I would say you belong. Now, I always start with, do you first? That is to make sure that we're always looking in our own agency first so that we don't become helpless and hapless. And that's a Martin Seligman learned helplessness aspect. If we stay in a cycle and self-talk of I can't, we start forming a narrative of I can't, which means then I won't. Not by choice. It just becomes this mode. The way you defeat that is getting more mindful, telling the story. And if like I literally go through and go, I belong, and I can put into places so many aspects of where I belong because I know I feel own and care, they feel own and care, so we fucking belong. And that becomes a key thing. Now, why this matters is, and if we were to look at, so this is what Vivek talks about. These are 6 things to combat it. What's actually missing explicitly is belonging, at least in the definition that I put forth. Because and this has happened on I don't know how many meetings, in person or over Zoom. Do you have those 4 things? Acceptance, authenticity, identity, and inclusion. I have asked that so many times, and I would said, raise your hand if you still don't belong. And you would not believe how often it is enormous. It's over the majority of the room. Because belonging is the choice for each other. You are mine, I am yours. And that changes how we will do things for each other. So that's what's missing out of this. And that's why I have this goofy little slide. Hey, something's still missing. We need social, we need health, we need policies, we need culture of connection. This is all the stuff that's talked about. But what's missing is actual relational belonging. Now, when you have that, and by the way, this is an interesting data point. This is from a 15 million submission study of what people said drives their well-being. If you're well, you're a better athlete. And if you're well emotionally, you can be a better relational athlete, if we want to use that language. And now belonging, which is part choice ours, part choice theirs, in the agreed upon, and this is where I'll say the back to that question, the social agreement, which is also a social construct that we choose for each other. So yes, it is a social construct. Yes, it is a one personal side. Yes, it is also a group side, but it's every group is nothing but a bunch of one-to-one spaces of belonging. It is less than what we're often talked about is like, oh, this group over here. No, you take one person in a group and you throw them in the volcano for the saving of that whole group. Every single person in that group now fears when are they next to get thrown in the volcano.
Oh, yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
So in 2022, these were the results. It's a 7-year study. Absolutely crazy. I was excited to heck. Mark Crowley sent me this information. He goes, dude, you got to look at this. I don't know if he said dude. He might have said dude, but I would have said dude. I'm using my internal Mark voice. See?
Oh yeah.
He was showing,
and then when we meet Mark, then he will speak like this.
But so feel own care is what Mark did for me, and I do that for him. I promote his book. I share stuff for him. We do that, but he sends me this, and it's just like, oh, damn. The number one driver was belonging, and this is by a 15 million person submission. That's what they pointed to, and it was relational in the design of the model. It almost fits perfectly with the relational model of feel own care. Their data, and I have slides for that kind of stuff if anybody wants to chat about it at another time. But in 2024, it was the same thing. And what's funny is what other people were saying it was, and you can see the numbers there of what they're saying it actually was, but the number one came out again. Management said it's this. The people that in the study said it was belonging. Now, I don't have 2023's data. I looked for it. I can't find it. I should reach out to Denev, who actually did the study, but maybe I'll get that another time. And so belonging is the answer because it's not a loneliness problem. Loneliness, oh, you need to go do this, you need to go to that, you need to go to this event, that event. No, you can go all those events, but if you don't belong, it doesn't make it better because our brain is saying, I have to belong. we didn't survive as a species. Now, maybe we have different challenges that when our brain developed and evolved by this belonging mechanism, neurobiology of it, the one where earlier, I couldn't do anything. I'd be worried about my son in the hospital. Now, shift to that question just to show the changes in the neurobiology. Instead, Sika sends you a text and says, I'm on my way to the hospital. Everything is fine. Freya's going to be okay. I just wanted you to know that. You'll have an uptick. Can you work?
Possibly.
Okay.
But I will still be worried.
He's in a hospital.
She has not said to me what is the problem. Like, and then I would ponder about.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Foot
okay. So no,
you know,
unclear equals fear, especially for belonging. So now it's going to be, he was a dumbass, fell out of the tree, broke his leg. You know, what's an older teenager doing that kind of crap for? I'm kind of mad at him, but he's fine.
Then I could work.
There we go. No, well, but this is just to what I want to demonstrate for your audience is everybody's brain works this way. So if you're trying to get engagement in a workplace, and as much as even our personal lives, our brain is the same brain, whether it's work, non-work, and especially to David's question of loneliness. And that actually is a function of unbelonging. And that's literally, unbelonging has a self-imposed component and an externally imposed component. And so there's the shift.
Yeah, because you mentioned the Zoom, like for the last 5 years, we have been participating in loads of stuff over Zoom or virtual media. And why is it that the Zoom fatigue came in so strong? And for me personally, like if I would meet you in person in Seattle and I would say, oh my God, he is definitely nothing I want to associate with. You know, because we have, like, in our group 4 years ago, we had a Vicky Grady Longo Bongo,
right.
like she has so long last name, and she came to Iceland, and when I saw her, it was just like, oh yes, we belong together, because she is just like, we were just like, when instantly, okay, my first outreach to her was, oh, you're sure. Because you have, like, she is a really big personality, fantastic person, and everything. And then when she stepped out of the taxi, I was just like,
okay, so
not that I'm a giant, but like I am.
Are you a giant? How tall are you?
Well, I don't know. 1 meter and 86 centimeters. I haven't got a clue what that is in.
So that you're
inches.
About 6 feet. And,
okay, thank you.
And Vicky is not. Okay, so
she will call us, you know that.
Yeah, Aishwarya.
Thank you, Aishwarya.
So there's two things involved here. One, if their Zoom is set up wrong, it's violating our brain's encoding and decoding of belonging. And so what'll happen is, like, for example, if I'm sitting here talking to you on this whole thing like this, how long until you say, look at the effing camera?
For me, it would be now. Like, it's just like, don't do this, man.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Don't diss me.
Yeah. Okay. So why that's the case is we're wired to be face-to-face, reading each other. And like a post I did earlier, 82% of our signaling is actually telling us what to hear. And so our signaling is saying, can I belong? Do I belong? Now, then it's that resolved. What can we do together? Because if I am alone, I die. Great book, Story or
Yeah.
Die. It's a marketing book, Lisa Cron. It literally has to do with we're either in story together or not. And if not, we die. Story or die. So for us, that's the brain's wiring. So, but this is the beauty of it. You and me, say we're out somewhere. We're looking at each other. We're letting each other know by all sorts of signals we have each other. I got your back. You got mine. You want to know how cute this is? We're not an apex predator. We're the wussy of the animal kingdom. No bony plates, no thick hair, no super giant muscle to protect us, a mouth that barely opens, no fangs, no claws, whatever. This is how we become. Is there funny stuff going on?
No, I'm just.
Did I miss something? Okay. All right. I just thought I missed something there. But
Keep on going.
okay. So how we do this is we're face to face and we see each other. And because of that, guess what I can see? If we're face to face, we're signaling we have each other. Now, I know if there's a threat that comes behind you. You can tell me if this dog in the picture is going to come attack. And so that's how we made it. Now we belong enough. Now we go back to back. And back to back now, I know that I am in a position of good offense and defense, and you are in for you. And we have each other's backs. That's the wiring that we all have. If we're in that state, now we're in a position to make it. So Zoom, if the Zoom is a face like this the whole time, first of all, like you just put, okay, just want you to know, what did you just do? You leaned back.
Yes, because you were like, in my space.
Right, because that was a neurological response to, hey, get out of my intimate space.
Yes.
Right? So when Zoom is doing all these goofy things to us, and I've got a whole thing to set up Zoom so our cameras are like we're sitting with each other, which is how, if you look at how we're doing this with each other, we could be sitting across the table from each other. Okay, set up wrong, Zoom screws with our belonging circuitry. It is so irritating, it's ridiculous. Now, Teams, Google Meet, whatever it is, anything in a default configuration does that. So, but I won't go any more into that. Now, in person, see, our wiring is made to catch every nuance of what's across from us. Anything in this field of vision, I mean, even our ears are angled forward to catch it. You look at my dog, that ear can go backwards, forward, this, that, other ways. Cat ears, think of cat ears going like this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, ours are made for this. That's what it's about. So we have to put ourselves in those spaces so that when we see each other, like I'm going to go to hug. When I see Vicky, I'm going to go to hug her and it's going to be like this. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, that too. That was for Vicky.
Yes.
Oh, David, you are too kind. You are too kind. But there was one other thing. Do we have time to go a couple more minutes or not?
Yes, I will give you that.
All right.
Because you are unstoppable.
Oh,
no, go for it. Just
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You're on fire.
Okay. So this actual, when we're in feel own care, when we're in, I'm going to say it just as for Vicky, if she ever catches this, if we're in fucking belonging, we are feel own caring. We are successful dreams and failuring with each other.
Mm-hmm.
We are in that really good state. We are constantly generating, and I like to call it our team OS. And what the being is, for us to be together teaming, we have to be in belonging, because belonging gives us this set of neurochemicals. And it worked. Woohoo! I love it when
Woohoo.
technology works. Oh, we're not showing it right now. Never mind.
No, well,
I
I
just did
can,
this like everybody could. I
oh.
just did it like everybody could see it. I'm like, nice. Way to go, Paul.
Sorry, I didn't read you. I'm not
No, that's
close to you.
okay. That was comical, because here I am going, ooh.
Yeah.
But so when we're in when we're in feel on care belonging,
Yeah.
this is what ends up happening is we get, and I can make that kind of big. Oop, that was too big.
Ooh. Oh,
Bring it
this is
back
too
down.
big. This is really big.
There we go.
There we go.
We end up with these aspects going on with us. We have sustained levels of oxytocin and sustained serotonin, and that's why I call it Team OS. I used to be an IT director, so I'm a little bit of a nerd. Operating system, oxytocin, serotonin. If you're in belonging, you get sustained levels of this. And now with oxytocin, I mean, and like just the brain says, and I could do an easier one here. By the way, Team OS, there. Oxytocin gives you an uptick in all of these areas. And this is you wonder why it's easier to stay engaged, is because your brain is healthy at a neurochemical level. Or maybe I'll say healthier, because it's hard to say whether my brain's healthy at all.
But okay, so just go through the. We have to. It's you are writing generosity, empathy, cooperation, social motivation, interpersonal trust, altruism, emotional recognition, gaze and focus on eyes, face.
Yeah.
That is when you're
So
in love.
actually, no. But okay, so because traditionally, oxytocin is called just the love chemical.
Yeah.
And you know that, and oh boy, there's so much science behind this. It's crazy. I love it. Because because if you ever sat and listened to a baby scream and scream and scream, I know you did because you had a kid.
Yeah.
And
Oh
then
yeah. And I
you're
too.
like, ah, and then you pick up the kid and you see the little baby face, and you're like, oh, and you do your thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, by design, this is so crazy. The baby's face, just like puppy face, by the way, when you have a puppy, triggers your brain to release oxytocin, the specific features of a baby's face. Why? So you won't kill your kid.
Like wow.
No, but, yeah, no, but this is what's happening now. Your brain starts releasing oxytocin, and what ends up happening is you get more pro-social, you get more generous, you get more empathy. Oh, instead of going, oh, damn, baby screaming, you're like, oh, you must have a poopy diaper. Empathy. You're emotionally able to recognize, oh, that's not the same cry that's normal. What else is going on? All that comes with oxytocin. Now imagine that in a workplace and your ability to interact with your teammates. Now, instead of that jerk made me late, it's, oh, why is this late? Maybe we need to figure something out better and get to a much stronger position as a team. Well, belonging gives you the oxytocin, which is what gives you those abilities. And it's that simple. I mean, it's neurochemically maybe complex, but the state of belonging. And by the way, if you want, I can send you the different neurological studies and stuff I've had to read for this. I don't recommend it. It's not super fun.
No, yes. But do you have a slide? Is there a slide to serotonin also?
Yes, of course. Of course. And because you asked. No.
Yeah. Ooh.
No. But this is interesting. This is by Paul Zak. He's a neuroscientist on the neuroeconomy of oxytocin. Which was really cool, is look at what, and by the way, back to, and David, I guess, had to leave, But David's talk about the loneliness epidemic, it's an unbelonging epidemic. In belonging, look at what hits. And this is just from measuring oxytocin levels in different studies. Less stress being one of the high causes of the different malaise that are happening in the loneliness epidemic. Fewer sick days, higher productivity. And by the way, the productivity numbers now are even higher than that by the studies. Look at that second from the bottom, 76% more engagement.
Which is, according to Gallup, an all-time low everywhere.
Why? Because belonging isn't the focus.
No.
This is our thing. We keep trying to solve it with pay, with different this, different that, but we're not going into how people feel, own, and care for each other in their successes, dreams, and failures. In a company tribe that defines its core values, it says we live by this. Not ethereal, I value this. We live this way. This is what living these values looks like. Now, if either you or I or somebody else isn't doing the values, instead of going, you're bad, blah, 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 you're getting kicked out unless you do it, it's this. Hey, as a member of this company, I'm inviting you back to living our core values because we live these core values. If you will please come back. If you choose not to live these values, then no, you don't get to be part of our company tribe, because this is that social construct that we create, social agreement that we participate in, that is voluntary in our belonging. In that state, we have sustained oxytocin because we can pull people back into it, and we end up with 76% more engagement. And then the energy aspect, which was interesting because this study is from a few years ago. The 2024 study had the second driver for Indeed for belonging as the number one driver. The number two driver was what kind of energy the space you're in gives you. So you need belonging for the energy space to all be in this uptick. And that's, by the way, so this is just relating to oxytocin. Is that crazy?
No, because this is scientific proven.
This is
Yeah.
just neurobiological science.
Yeah.
And then combined with the corollaries in the behavioral sciences side. Yeah, absolutely. This is what this is.
Should we end on high or should we go through the serotonins?
Let's throw serotonin in there, just because once you see that, now you're like, oh, now we understand why even the performance works even better, because we have serotonin in this space also. Do you want to do your ceremonial reading again?
Yes. So serotonin calls for calm under pressure, increased adaptability, repeat fewer errors, adaptability in focus, decision formation, and higher recall during high load. Is this why some people in a crisis mode, they are better handling crisis than others? Like this combination?
Okay, so there's two components there. One of them is the practice, but you will see this. You think of do you have a favorite sport?
Yeah, soccer.
Okay. Do you have a favorite team?
Yes, 2.
Do you have a favorite team with a player that completely choked?
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
All right. So there's two components here. In an elite level of play, there is the practice level that allows you to get into the good, healthy space and to have these things readily available out of your system one memory. Sorry, system. Yeah, system one. In the system one brain, it's autonomic responses and adaptable movements and everything else. You don't have to go, oh, in order to make this bicycle kick, I will have to do it this way, be at this angle. You don't even oh, hey, David. Hi. You don't have to go through that because it's all in your quick response processing
yeah.
adaptable space. Serotonin is what gives you that. Now, let's say the Navy SEALs. Navy SEALs, for example, their number one driver is their SEAL team 6, 7, 5, whatever. Their aspect that's primary in play is their belonging. When they go, they're not just fighting for the purpose. Companies define things, it's our purpose, and everything is purpose, nothing but purpose. Yeah, that becomes usually a terrible place, because without belonging, you can't be in this state to have sustained levels of serotonin and oxytocin. But here we're just focused on the serotonin aspect. In this state, you do get that calm under pressure. You do get the adaptability in your focus. In other words, you'll go, oh, this is new. In belonging, you go, this is like this, which means I can do this. I can figure this out too. And that's a definite shift neurochemically for how you can do things. And that's where, when you see a team and you hear about team chemistry, they have bad team chemistry, so they lose.
Oh yeah.
They actually have bad neurochemistry because their belonging is effed.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. They don't have sustained levels of oxytocin. They don't have sustained levels of serotonin. Now, there's another level aspect of performance, which is being in your midline, so that you're not too low in your activation and you're not too high, so that you can stay in a high performing optimal bandwidth. And that's different. That's a different thing altogether. But without being in good belonging, you can't sustain this stuff. These neurochemicals, they drop. Cortisol is all that's left in place. And then we start to suck. We're terrible team players. And our engagement in that degraded environment goes down with it, because we're unhealthy relational athletes at that point. So by having your belonging in place, you get good oxytocin and serotonin. And do I have that last little guy there? I'll bring it back to this one just because it was fun. When you're in good state of belonging, you are sitting here with this active and in play for all of those performance upticks, and you get to be in an engaged state, because you will then fight for your engagement instead of with each other. That breaks down your engagement. So, and we can close it there. How about that?
Yes, thank you. Because now we have been talking for an hour and 20 minutes, and like, sorry. I knew this would happen, Paul, because it's unbelievable. So, two things.
Okay.
This question is really important. Is it possible to buy Paul's t-shirt?
Yes. Yes, it is. Shift up. Hey, so how about this? Just because I didn't have it ready. Oh, I wish I did. Because I have. So I'm gonna have to do this. I have this right here.
Let's post it. What do you have? What do you have? What is happening?
So I just put this up. If somebody wants to.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Oh yes.
Okay. Here, how about this? If somebody wants to, this is how I can do it, because I don't have the direct link to the site for it. But if you will scan and do the blue for LinkedIn, by the way, and connect with me, or send me a DM that says belong and believe, like in that DM, I will send you the link to this at the Shift Up shop, which is this beautiful dude, Eben Green. Do you know Eben Green?
No.
Okay.
But I know he commented on the post you made. Okay. So I saw him.
Okay. But if you scan that, get on LinkedIn, send me a thing. Belong and Believe. I will put the link right back to you for where you can get the Shift Up shirt.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And you totally, is it you on the picture or is it some? Okay,
It's
no,
me without
I
my
will.
glasses.
I will leave now.
Really?
But the last question, Paul,
Okay.
because this is just unbelievable. Because everything is going on in the world, and if we can say, can belonging be harmful if it reinforces division?
Oh, okay. So this is one of my favorite statements that I hear from people all the time.
Okay.
So belonging isn't the harmful part of it. It's the crappy values of the tribal that underpin the tribal belonging. Belonging is something that you are going to do irrespective. It's not the problem. The problem, we all belong. We don't all belong with each other. It's absolutely impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's Dunbar's number if you do any anthropological or social sciences stuff. Belonging is also no. The belonging is as much an embrace with the tribe we choose that chooses us as it is a boundary. And let me tell you why the boundary matters. And I had somebody get very upset at me because they said you can't talk about a boundary and belonging. This is why I say it's about the values underpinning whatever tribe's belonging. That's the issue, not the belonging. So so here's where I'll go with this. And I remember this one's like, well, you can't have a boundary and belonging. I said, no, you can. You have to. Because, and I said, if I work for a company and then I go do work for another company, but I'm getting paid by another company, I don't belong doing work for that other company because I'm in an agreement with this company to be in belonging and to do this stuff. Isn't that a problem if I do that? Well, no, that's not the issue. You still can't have a boundary. So I said, okay, how about this one? I belong with my wife, Eliza, and I don't belong with any other woman like I belong with her.
Yes.
And I'm just like, right?
Uh,
He goes, no, you can't have boundaries and belonging. And I went, I'm just going to shut up.
yeah.
But no, now the reason I say this though is people blame belonging. You will do belonging no matter what. If you have to choose between someone with whom you belong versus someone you don't, and because I'm not going to go, oh, get out of being in a scarcity model, get out of this. No, bullshit. There will be times where you have to make a choice. You choose your belonging because that's brain neurobiology. Now, in leadership, we will get all these things that we think are threatening. And if we make choices like we're back in our caveman days or cavewoman days, then we usually end up screwing things up because most of those threats aren't real threats anymore. So belonging isn't the problem. It's the underpinning values. Like I don't belong with somebody. I'll say it. I'm not. I don't have a problem with racism. I really do. I grew up in a mixed ethnic area. I think it's fun. As cool as cool as shit to hang out with. I don't have to be them. They don't have to be me. It's all cool. Now, when somebody starts coming in and going, and I remember one of my buddies, he's Mexican and Irish, and we make jokes about Mexican and Irish, and he makes jokes about white people, and we laugh and we joke. We were doing this project together, and we went into this store, and the person wouldn't help my buddy because he looks Mexican. And I said, and my buddy was standing in front of me, so he's the next person in line. And I'm like, he goes, I'll help you, sir. He looks past him. I go, what's wrong with this guy? He goes, I said I'd help you, sir. And I said, no, he's in front of me. Sir, I said I'd help you, he says to me. And then I go, no, I want to know why you won't help him. And then he made some other comment, and I go, look, He's got a better education than you. I went all dick.
Oh. And you were
Because-
thrown out of the shop, or?
no, so this is what's funny. I said, I want to talk to your manager right now. And my buddy, Michael, picks me up and goes, "It's not worth it, Paul," and carries me out of the store. And the whole time I'm going, "I'm never coming back here. You guys suck."
Oh my God, you are a feisty brother.
but
Well,
where I'm going with this from the belonging and divided, we can
yeah,
still be in get alonging unless our values are the preventative aspect. It's not the belonging, it's the values. So I had a conflict with values. I'm not going to belong with them because judging somebody by the color of their skin that way. Now, whether I fall to it because of some unconscious bias, whatever else that happens, because we're human and it falls into play. But the truth is, it's that values place that is what's defining what's created. Now, if we have crappy values, our tribe is going to represent those values, and it's still our belonging of choice. That's not belonging. It's the values.
I want to end this because
Yeah.
this must be the best thing for, because I have this picture of uh, what you're talking about, because
Me getting carried out by my buddy.
yes, because it is something that we, isn't it something that we think about, like and this is a picture, it has been going on forever on the internet. So a man sits by his desk and says, for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. And then you have a dog, you have a seal, you have a fish in a fishbowl, you have an elephant, penguin, crow, and a monkey.
And this is the absolute antithesis of belonging.
Yeah.
Because everybody has to fit in one thing instead of actually be in relationship as they are and who they are. And that's where I say the problem with fitting in is you self-marginalize and you stop self-belonging. If you can't self-belong with somebody, you can't belong with them also that way. And so that is like just the perfect picture of anti-belonging.
Yeah. So Paul, you are a master of speaking. You could speak for, we literally could speak about this for 3 hours, and you are the only one so far who has like gone half an hour over
Oops.
the time. But we love you, I think.
Thanks.
But it has but maybe we will take Paul Haury, inspiring conversation with Paul Haury 2.0, like, because this is a subject that is just intriguing. And when we spoke last in September, it was a eye-opener when I realized what you were talking about, because sometimes I just didn't know what you were, I didn't understand you before I got to see it visually in front of me.
Mm.
So that is also imperative. But I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. But before we say goodbye, next inspiring conversation is with Deborah Heiser next week, Thursday the 13th, and where we will be talking about how mentorship can unlock growth through dynamic relationships. And I will not, I'm looking forward to this because this will be fun. And it will be an hour later than today because she is a teacher, so she couldn't
Oh,
get her
she
own.
gets to
Don't
hang you
say
an hour
that.
late.
Don't, no,
I heard it.
no. Yeah,
I
she's a
heard it.
woman, and yeah, because he, like Paul, he was very annoyed because he had to wake up hour early. But Paul, as always, like, brilliant conversation, and I hope people take something out of this, and we can, like, they will, because your t-shirt is brilliant, your stuff is brilliant, your explanation, they are so, like, when you show these things, it's just like you just go into it and you're just like, yeah, and then you realize how much it is. So thank you very much for the chat, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will stay alive for the rest of the day.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on the show, man.